We all know and love Spider-Man. I mean, who doesn't? He is pretty much the image of a hero, and Stanley's favorite nonetheless, to such an extent that he has been in the spotlight for a considerable amount of time. He has been reimagined in countless ways: movies, TV shows, comic books, and of course, video games. With the latest being Spider-Man 2, but that's not the game in question. Let me take you back to the year 2000, when the gaming industry was at its peak, and when Spider-Man was first released on the PlayStation 1. Welcome to my review of Spider-Man on the original PlayStation. I hope you enjoy and find something useful in it. So, let's get into it. The story starts at a tech expo, where a newly reformed Dr. Octavius is giving a demo on a new device. Then all of a sudden, Spider-Man comes in and steals it. But what's weird is Peter Parker, the real Spider-Man, is standing in the audience. Now it's up to Spider-Man to find this imposter and figure out what's going on before it's too late. I love the story for this game. It's actually well thought out. And I imagine they got help from the Stan Lee on this one, which is great. It really feels like they put care into the writing and didn't just throw something together. Sure, there was some cheesy moments in there, but that's what Spider-Man is. He's just some kid who got powers, but that doesn't mean he has to stop being one. I love that they didn't try to make it some cosmic level story either. It stuck to the streets of New York. They even brought in other heroes like Black Cat, Human Torch, and Daredevil, which is another detail I love. New York is filled with heroes, so for none of them to show up would be concerning. I enjoy that they didn't put all the focus on Spider-Man. I mean, of course, he is the main character, but to pull in other heroes was just the cherry on top. Overall, the story felt like one straight out of a comic book, which is amazing. To show even more proof of its greatness, they even convinced Stan Lee to narrate the game. That right there is a stamp of approval for me. Great work. Now, what really surprised me was the complexity of this game. There is actually a lot more to it than I originally thought. It pretty much has everything you would see in all the other Spider-Man games. Web slinging, combat, wall climbing, and even different web modes. One thing that did come on a little bit too strong was the difficulty. It wasn't so bad in the beginning, but as you progress, it gets way harder than it needs to be. Some levels and bosses just became nearly impossible to beat, and I was only playing on normal. I would hate to see how this game plays on hard. I know this is mainly due to the stiffness and responsiveness of the controls. I understand it is an old game and the controls won't be as responsive as now, but if I compare it to others that came out during that time, they had way better responsiveness than this game. Though I will admit, it could be my controller altogether. Please let me know if any of you might have had this problem as well. Now, moving along, Activision added a kids mode to the game. This mode takes away some of the complexities of the game and simplifies it for the children to play. The controls are easier to use and the enemies are easier to beat. This is actually really cool and just shows this game was truly intended for all ages, as it should be. Once you get used to the controls of the game, the combat is pretty fun. You can punch, kick, and web your way through enemies. Though, be careful, for it is extremely easy to get overwhelmed. The game really wants you to fight like Spider-Man by using his entire arsenal, which is cool if there weren't so many enemies. It's hard to separate them in some cases, so in the end I just try to avoid fighting if I don't have to. The web sling in this game is really cool as well. You're able to swing from building to building. They even give you a sort of zipline function to get to specific spots on the map. You have web cartridges that you can use, but don't go using them all up, for you can only hold 10 at a time. Though there are plenty of cartridges for you to use around the maps. Your web shooters have different modes, like I mentioned before. There are regular webs, of course. They can be used to tie up enemies to give you an opening. Then you have impact webs, which can be used as a long range attack. Next would be your web gloves. These can add extra damage to your punches. Finally is your web shell that protects you from damage for a while until it explodes and pushes all your enemies back. You can also modify your web shooters by adding flames to it. These give you an extra punch against certain enemies. The last thing would be the boss fights. You have 8 fights in total. Each one has you fighting some of Spider-Man's worst villains, like Rhino, Scorpion, and even Venom. They're all pretty frustrating at first, but once you realize how to take them down, it's pretty simple. They all have a unique way to beat them, which is really cool. Some have you use your environment, while others have a weak spot that you can exploit. One in particular though, I really hated, and that was Mysterio. He seems like an easy boss, but in truth, it took me a very long time to beat him. This was mostly due to the unresponsiveness of the controller like I stated before, but in the end, I got him. Overall, the gameplay was not bad. It really felt like a Spider-Man game. Of course, it will have a little bit of difficulty, which did get me frustrated at some points, but not enough to hate the game. I still found plenty of enjoyment, so great job. Spider-Man was at the end of the PS1 era, with the PS2 already being released earlier that year. Even so, the graphics from this game were pretty good for its time. Compared to other games you would have seen on the PS1, this one is amazing. The levels are also very unique and well designed. The game takes you throughout the streets of New York. You visit some of Spidey's favorite locations, even the sewers, of course. I will admit though, that at first it seemed like it was going to be a little bland, but to my surprise, I was wrong. There are 6 levels in total, and each one was nicely designed, and the complexity of them was amazing. It really added to the atmosphere of the game, making it just feel like a Spider-Man game. The graphics, like I said before, really shocked me. They were actually really good. Going in, I might have expected something like Final Fantasy VII or Metal Gear Solid with the blocky characters, but instead they looked more humanoid. Though the faces on some of those characters are kinda scary. Now the villains are incredibly designed. It's like they jumped straight out of a comic book. It's wonderful. Some of the new games and movies try their own style and design for the characters, but I'm glad that they went with this nostalgic look for each one. Honestly, this whole world feels like one straight out of a comic book, which is, in my opinion, what a Marvel game should feel like. I understand wanting to make a game unique, and that's not bad, but this just scratched that itch. Great work.
Mind if I drop in?
This was a great Spider-Man game, but I wouldn't say it's the best. I'm not going to compare it to the newer game because that's like comparing a rock to a mountain, but on its own, it's fun. The combat and controls were definitely stiff compared to other PlayStation 1 games, though it made up for it with its story and the fact that it's Spider-Man. So my rating for this game would be an 8 out of 10. I actually enjoyed my time. It offered a challenge to me and I didn't completely hate it. Some things needed to be improved on, and maybe they were in the sequel, so we'll just have to find out, won't we? I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and please let me know what you think. Peace!